Too fur or not too fur? That is the question. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a short fashion show. So each of the items that you just saw were made from faux fur. And most people care a little bit about what the things in the world are made up of and the effects that those items have on their environment. So we're going to dive a little bit into why you should care about fur as a material just a little bit more. Now, natural fur, is really the best option, and we really do need to stop buying synthetic items. I have spent many hours researching the effects and properties of both natural and artificial furs, as well as having some hands-on experience with both types as someone who sews and spending time with my grandfather, who was an avid fur harvester for many, many years. We have found that the biggest part is, at least with synthetic furs, is that they're polluting waterways and the environment as a whole. We can really solve this through simple actions. If we choose to only purchase natural furs, we could have a much healthier environment. Now, somebody might say, how is this a problem? How is this a serious problem? Well, synthetics by nature are one of the most unnatural things in the world. It comes right in the names that synthetic furs given. Faux, for example, is French for false. The word synthetic itself, it means placed together. Even take imitation, it means to copy or to portray. It means that by their own description, synthetic furs are a material made from chemicals being placed together to create a false version, a copy, if you will, of the natural material. And this comes from the Oxford English Dictionary. When these synthetic and thereby, as mentioned before, inherently unnatural materials make their way into our natural and fragile environment, from being discarded or as an effective production, our environment becomes polluted. With a polluted environment, our cultures will continue to be poisoned and polluted with the afterwash of these synthetics. When mass-produced synthetics are discarded, they actually release microplastics and do not biodegrade. Now, while it may not affect you personally, like the effects of the microplastics and the like, the indigenous culture of our world, as well as other groups of people, have deep roots in the fur trapping and use industry. For them, it's one of the best ways to retain their culture better than any other way of life. They use the furs for traditional garb as well as other items, thereby working to uphold their deeply seated cultural traditions. Now, moving back to the microplastics from the synthetic fur materials do pose a hazard to wildlife. Like the particles that we see here. Now, the chemicals, which we saw here, are continually used in fur production, at least in synthetics, and they can endanger the well-being of our populations. Now, this brings us to a solution. For a solution, we need to push for change back to using exclusively natural furs in production of fashion, luxury items, and the like. And with natural furs, the production size is smaller. So, like I mentioned before, the production size of synthetic materials is much larger. So, with natural furs, due to their natural nature, the production size is smaller. Now, it would be more expensive, but when somebody decides to throw it away, it will simply biodegrade and return to the environment. And it would be much safer for our world. So it would biodegrade much like an apple thrown to the side of the highway or something like that. Now, some people might say this solution won't work. I really think they're wrong. Now, natural furs are natural materials, like I said before. So they're made up of biologically produced compounds, not ones made up by other chemicals in a laboratory, like gas and oil, or extracted from fossil fuels, for that example. Now, materials such as collagen and keratin are actually what make up our skin, as well as skin and fur, as well as that of animals. So, since they're found in both, we know that humans rot. As bad as it sounds, we do know that humans rot. So it would make sense that the same materials coming from another animal would rot as well, thereby incorporating the decomposition, the biodegradation, which is the breaking down of it into harmless compounds that get reabsorbed into the environment, actually helping the environment. Now, this doesn't happen with the synthetic furs, like I had mentioned before. They don't biodegrade. They shed the microplastics and the fibers into the environment. Now, imagine, if we don't improve fur, we'll continue to have a bad reputation, and synthetic furs will continue to pollute waterways and the rest of the environment. Animals will become ill, and the environment will become ill itself. So we don't want poor old Fido to get ill because we're using synthetic furs. If we move back to using natural resources, back to the old way of fur, the way that indigenous cultures have been doing it for thousands of years to obtain their fur materials, there will be much less plastic pollution in our environment, making it healthier for the animals and the people and the plants that live in it. Now, natural fur really is the best option, so we do need to stop buying synthetic fur items. We have found that the biggest part of synthetic furs is that they're polluting the waterways and the environment as a whole. We can solve this through simple actions. If we choose to only purchase natural furs, we could have a much healthier planet. Now, get out there, make things better for our future people and the environment. Furs are a natural source to be used wisely and with respect. Only buy natural fur and stop buying faux. So when you think about buying that coat made with synthetic fur, think again. Go natural.